For centuries, artists have used paint, charcoal, marble, even the female menstrual cycle to capture the human form. But not once has anyone attempted to paint Susan Boyle using only baked beans.
Today, we changed that. But why? Well,
recently I visited a local art museum, and for 20 quid, what did I get? A banana taped to a wall, a brick in an empty room, and a man screaming at a chair. And it left me thinking, who actually decides what's art and what's just completely unhinged? Because honestly, the line feels dangerously thin. So I decided to test it. How ridiculous does art have to be before people start taking it seriously?
Weird and wonderful things, and they work themselves for thousands.
But I bet you're still wondering, why baked beans and why Susan Boyle?
Well, since 1886, baked beans have been a staple of British culture, from a greasy spoon to your mum's beans on toast. So really, it only felt right to pair one of Britain's most beloved delicacies with one of Britain's most beloved icons, Susan Boyle. So, let's try and paint a national treasure.
This has actually come out pretty fucking cool.
Turn baked beans into high-end art and somehow sneak it into a real-life gallery.
The security guard's gonna take a phone call.
Let's go.
Okay, so here's the plan. First, I'm gonna find a picture of Susan Boyle looking beautiful and elegant, which won't be hard. Second, I'm gonna trace this onto a canvas, highlighting where the shadows are in her face. I'm then gonna take mounds of baked beans and place them where the shadows are. So hopefully, when I take a step back, it will put the Mona Lisa to shame. Shame on you, Vincent van Gogh, you little freak. The only issue is I'm currently in a small town, in a small island in the coast of Brazil. So sorting art supplies and baked beans might be an issue, but positive mental mindset. Let's go. So we're headed into the local town on 100% supplies, and you know what? The first shop we went into, beans secured. However, we had a problem. I've just been to like 5 different shops and none of them sell paper. It's proving a viable resource out in the streets of Brazil. So I don't know what we're gonna do, but at least we've got the beans. We've done it. We've only gone and done it. We've got our A3 paper. We've got our beans. We've got our utensils. We've got this sweet, sweet Mother Mary milk of Susan Boyle running around my brain. So let's get making a masterpiece, shall we? Honestly, I think the hardest part is going to be drawing her to start with. I've got these little lines on my screen, so I'm just going to dissect this into the same. I don't have a ruler, but my arm feels pretty straight right now. Alright, so I've realised I'm instantly really shit at drawing, but I've got a big brain move here. If I zoom in on one of these squares and I make it the same size as one of these squares on the screen, I might be able just to trace it over. I'm literally dripping in sweat after that. That was intense. But this is the reveal. It actually doesn't look too bad. It could either look exactly like her, or it could end up just looking like Bill Murray or something. Nevertheless, we continue to move on with my sweet baby mother. Alright, and now it's time to put some beans on some paper. But we've seemed to run into a problem. I'm currently staying in Airbnb, and there's no sign of a can opener. And this is a solid top. Hey ChatGPT, I'm currently trying to open a can of baked beans. I've got a cheese grater, a knife, and a corkscrew thing, and a mallet.
Here's a way you can open that can without a can opener. 1, stabilize the can. 2, use the knife carefully. Try to gently tap the knife's handle with something heavy, like a solid surface or another tool. 3, work around the lid. If that feels a bit sketchy, you could try grating away at the edge with the cheese grater as a last resort.
Okay, well at least I've got the hole. That'll do it. That'll do it.
Okay, so we're gonna do a little test first. We've got regular beans, and then we've got juice formed beans. And we're gonna try and give a little test, see what we're working with here, see what materials we're working with before I tarnish Susan Boyle's face with these bean stains. Right, well that doesn't do anything. So here's the conundrum. These beans don't stick at all. They're just gonna roll around the page. This you can paint with, but it doesn't really work. It just makes the page look wet. So what happens if I combine them both together and I crush these? So it's more of a paste, a bean paste, a baste, and then I paint using that. There's only one way to find out.
If I eat with you, wanna sit with you, like don't know, yeah, selective.
I After much pummeling, we have come up with this little concoction. God's praise, this works. My whole week 25 years existence on this earth has come down to this pinnacle moment. I also share this Airbnb with like a house there and a house there. So if someone comes through here and they look across at this, they're gonna think, who the fuck is this guy? And why is he so fucking awesome? How do I become friends with this bean-dwelling human? Okay, back to the beans.
So I spent the next few hours meticulously applying beans to the canvas, each one placed with the precision of a Renaissance master. This wasn't just a portrait, it was an exploration of texture, of form, of the inherent chaos within these tinned beans. With each careful press of bean to paper, I wasn't just creating art, I was engaging in a dialogue with society itself. A commentary on fame, on consumerism, on breakfast. But as the hours passed and my fingers became sticky with tomato sauce, one thing became clear. This was no longer just a painting, this was history in the making.
I think this has actually come out pretty fucking cool, if I'm honest. I don't know, it's either really cool or it just looks like a crime scene. Here we go.
So beautiful, so majestic, so magnificent.
That was a lot. It's a bit rough around the edges, but you know, aren't we all? But that's phase one done. But for now, I'm fucking tired. We're gonna lay this little boy to rest. Hopefully it dries and hopefully these boys just stick to our skull. And tomorrow we'll get her looking pretty and we'll get her in a gallery. So let's go.
Good night, baby girl. Sweet dreams, sleep tight. Don't let the bean bugs bite.
What's your name, darling?
My name is Susan Boyle.
And how old are you, Susan?
I am 47. And that's just one side of me.
And how old are you, Susan?
And that's just one side of me.
Phew. She's still alive. At the minute, she's only ever been vertical. And if we're gonna hang her up in a gallery, we're gonna have to do a little vertical test. The moment of truth. So I knew this was a masterpiece, but I wanted to see what the masses thought of this creation. So I took to Instagram and posted a story of old Susie and waited for the results to come in, and the people love it. The responses were immaculate, the pure passion and life force in people's eyes as they saw this beautiful masterpiece on their screens clarified all of my thoughts. We have a masterpiece on our hands and the people approve. Now all we need to do is get a decision maker at an art gallery to also approve and love it enough to hang it in their art gallery. How hard can it be? So after scouring the depths of the internet, I've compiled a list of prestigious art galleries in the UK that accept submissions for artwork. After doing a bit of CAI, FBI level trickery, I've even uncovered some of the names of the decision makers that work for these galleries. But here's the problem, if I just message them myself, they're gonna take one look at this and think I'm mentally deranged and unstable. So I do have a cunning plan. I'm no longer 3am kebab. I am now Roland Green, an esteemed art collector and head of creative at Wild Colours Gallery Agents. And today I bring you a once in a lifetime opportunity. And one sec. A bold, boundary-pushing visionary from the depths of South America has embarked on a daring artistic endeavour. His latest masterpiece is a radical deconstruction of fame, consumerism and the British iconography, blending nostalgia with the grotesque. For in his work, he has immortalised the soul of Susan Boyle, rendered entirely in baked beans. Because what is Susan Boyle, if not a symbol of the working class? A woman who, much like the humble baked bean, was once overlooked, dismissed as ordinary until the world finally tastes her brilliance. A voice yet so rich, yet a medium so simple. So let's see if they buy that. So I conducted some fake logos and Photoshop designs and sent them off. But in the meantime, I wanted to work on my contingency plan. So I called up an expert.
Hello, Skylark Gallery.
This is Gil, and she's the artist director and owner of Skylark Galleries in London. I wanted to have a chat and find out just how much my Susan Boyle might be worth.
Hi, yeah, it's Roland Green speaking here. I just have a bit of unusual question. I've basically recently been gifted some art which looks quite similar to the ones on your page. I was just wondering if you'd know what kind of price range I could get for it. And it's essentially a portrait, a portrait of Susan Boyle, the singer, but made out of baked beans.
It does very much depend on what's known about the artist. If the piece that you've got, because it sounds very unusual, has any kind of provenance at all.
Right, okay.
I sort of know artists who do all sorts of strange and weird and wonderful things, and their work sells for thousands, and yeah.
You fucking heard that, boys. She said abstract work sells for thousands. I'm also dripping in sweat because I'm still in a fucking suit and tie in Brazil right now. But I'm excited. She said it can sell for thousands. And I trust that woman with my soul, with my heart, with my first newborn baby child. She can have him, or her, or it, or they, or them.
So a few days went past and still no reply from the galleries. But then I found out that some galleries take up to 8 to 10 weeks to message you back. So I knew I needed to take matters into my own hands. So I packed up old Susie and we hit the streets. So I've decided I need to stop waiting for others and start taking action and put old Susie where she deserves to be. And where better to go than Museo di Arto di Santa Catalina, the biggest and most prestigious art gallery in Florianopolis. Established in 1942, it's the official fine art institution of Santa Catalina. Inside, priceless paintings, celebrated sculptures, and carefully curated exhibitions from some of Brazil's most renowned artists. And soon, hopefully a portrait of Susan Boyle made entirely out of baked beans. Let's go.
There's not a single person here, which is very strange. But there's at least a lot of opportunity to hang Susan up. Like, this is the most derelict art gallery I've ever seen. Obviously they're struggling for artists, so I'm gonna feel honoured. I just need to find the right place to hang her up without being spotted by security. I don't know if you can see, but in this room there's like cameras in the corner. Okay, I've just noticed the security guard's gone to take a phone call, so now's my chance to run into that room and just hang her up and get out of here before he comes back and sees on the cameras. Here we go. She's hanging up in the art gallery. Mission is complete. What once was a can of baked beans is now hanging up in the center of culture for Santa Catalina. Susan Boyle now has a resting place. And she has the whole wall, she has the whole gallery. So we did it. We hung up Susan Boyle there. She's ready. Wow, wow, wow. Would you look at that? Another pig eating away at the modern life of consumerism. You got close, didn't you? But you really thought I was going to sell this piece of art? I'm Roland Green, and my art is my body. I don't sell my body on the streets of Kingsby like some local in the bowels of a pleasure house. So with that, I bid you farewell, and I wish you best of luck with your perilous life. There's only one thing left to do. Chin chin.